Welcome back to Project Geekology. Today we are discussing another project. We are discussing Project Hail Mary. It's a movie and a book, though I don't believe any of us have read the book yet. But we will be discussing the adaptation that is currently in theaters. It's doing pretty big numbers, and a lot of people like it. Will we like it, folks? I'm going to leave that for us to describe later in the podcast, but I am 1/4 of your host, Dakota, and I'm joined as always with
Anthony. And, would you say whether we liked it or not is a Hail Mary?
I feel like you keep using the term Hail Mary incorrectly.
I'm gonna give.
No, well, I mean,
Hail Mary
a Hail Mary's a long shot. So, I mean, whether or not we like it could be a long shot.
It could be.
Yeah, no. So it's
okay. All right.
But yeah, I'm going to toss a Hail Mary over to
Rich, and I'm probably going to drop it because I'm a Jets fan. But I'm still, I won't lie to you. I thought this was a movie about the New York Jets winning a Super Bowl. That's why they called it Project Hail Mary, because it was a long shot. But here we are. It was completely different than I expected. But we wouldn't be able to discuss this, just the three of us. And we are also joined by...
Hi, I'm Jen, a.k.a. Rocky.
Rocky?
Because, everybody calls me Rocky back in the day.
Back in the day, nobody called you Rocky.
You didn't know me back then.
Oh, okay.
When they called me Rocky.
Well, Rich, I'm glad that you were so excited to watch a Jets movie that got you to watching this movie, which was, for you, unintended and unexpected. But I'm glad that we are all on the same page and we watched the science fiction movie about going into the deep reaches of space to the Tau Ceti system. Anyway, what have we been up to these past 2 weeks? Because we took a week off. Jen and I went to Florida. So I guess we'll talk about what we did first. Jen, you and I went to Miami, visited some of the older family members of mine, as well as yours. And we actually got to hang out with Anthony for a bit. That was pretty fun.
That was pretty fun. We watched baseball with Anthony, and we got half off wings at the Sandbar. Half off wing night, Wednesdays at the Sandbar. Miami-Dade County. What a time to be alive.
It literally sounds like David Lynch just was doing an ad for that bar. I don't understand what's... Guys, wings, half off. Miami, Florida. You wouldn't believe it. They're so delicious.
Damn fine wings.
Coop,
that was actually
you wouldn't
pretty
believe
good.
it. The dirty bearded men.
Buffalo sauce. All over the beards.
No pie.
No pie.
Anyway, we had a good time hanging out with Anthony. That was the day of the Artemis 2 launch, which it kind of ties into the topic of discussion today because it's space related. We did not get to see it. We had our face full of wings at that point, and they decided to play the Yankee game, boo, on TV instead of the Artemis 2 launch, which I totally forgot was actually happening at the time. So I was happy actually to watch the Yankee game in the moment, but in retrospect, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, as they say, hindsight is 20/20.
We're rambling, guys. What else have we been up to? We obviously...
Well, you and I were just watching an incredible movie.
Oh, yeah.
Dakota and I were just watching Titanic. And I said to him, I was like, oh my gosh, can you believe there was a time in our lives where I was a bigger James Cameron fan than you? And he brought up Terminator.
Yeah, and I was just like, is it possible that you liked Titanic more than I liked Terminator in the mid to late 90s? Is that possible?
I think 100% yes. And I think you saw my quoting abilities. I haven't seen the movie in probably like a decade, and I can still quote many a line.
My mom had that on VHS. And I was holding
back. I actually held back because there were some lines I felt like I was getting annoying. Like, I didn't want to be too much, I didn't want to scare you off. Because we've been married 11 years. We've never watched Titanic
Whenever
together.
You actually, spoke a line ahead of a character, you spoke it wrong. So I think you
That's not true. That's false. I would like the record to show he's a liar.
All right. I'll take it. Yeah, I'm watching Titanic. We are watching Titanic. I wanted to watch it because...
Dates.
Long live the timeline. Titanic happens in 2 days' time, April 10th, which we're recording on April 8th. So I wanted at least the launch of the Titanic on April 10th through the sinking of the Titanic on the 15th to be able to be mapped out in my notes so that I have it ready for when the time comes later this month. I'm having a lot of trouble with April. There's not a lot of, at least titles that I've like gone through that occur in April for Long Live the Timeline, my project where I map calendar dates across fiction. And I can get at least 6 days with the Titanic, 6 consecutive days of stuff that happened within fiction. And I call it fiction because Rose and Jack are fictional characters in a historical setting. So technically it counts.
They're real to me. I would like the record to also show when Dakota and I were dating, we made a list of movies that we should watch together. And so we came up with this list together, like typing in different, oh, you have to see this. Oh, you have to see that. And we had been dating for like a while. And I looked at the list and I realized I had watched all of his movies and he didn't watch any of mine.
Well, I mean,
none, not a single one. And so the problem was that all of his movies were like in like packs of trilogies. So you had all of the Star Wars, all of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter isn't a trilogy, but you're picking up what I'm putting down. Whereas I would just have like, I think Lost in Translation was literally on the list and he never watched it until our podcast, I believe.
No. We did watch that one.
We did watch that one?
Yeah, we watched that one and we watched, I think Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that's when I called it quits on your list.
That's a good movie.
I'm kidding.
That's going to be my next pick.
The only thing that's good about that movie is that it allowed there to be a song called Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's really the only thing that
I hate that song so much. I hate that song.
Let's move on. Anything else that we've been doing? No, I think that's pretty much it, right? You're back to school.
I've been fighting acid reflux, fighting for my life, but I don't think you guys want to hear about that. So we'll move on.
It is a harrowing adventure, but yeah. Anthony, we'll move on to you. What have you been up to since we spoke last?
I mean, we obviously we spoke that we got to hang out. I did see the was it Super Mario Galaxy movie. I watched it in a way that would make Rich proud. I hopped on the Thousand Sunny and crossed the Grand Line to the New World and watched it that way.
I love that Rich doesn't even watch One Piece like that, but he understands the reference.
He's been to the Grand Line. He knows what the Grand Line is.
He at least has been to the Grand Line. Yes.
So at least, actually, speaking of that, good news. We did get news that season 3 is going to be coming out next year.
Yeah, so they're trying to aim for at least.
I think it was. I mean, like we mentioned that there's no way that they could do. They won't get far if they were doing 2 to 2.5 years at a time. There were, I would say, the furthest that they would have gotten was Skypiea if they were doing it that way. But so that was some good news. And well, actually, kind of going back a little bit to the media that Jen had you watch. I mean, I know you were talking about movies, but Jen should at least be proud that she brought you into the Avatar fold when I couldn't.
She did. No, yeah. That you had always been telling me that I needed to watch Avatar, but you weren't like a hype beast, like you weren't like, dude, you got to sit down and watch this. You got to sit down.
Yeah.
She kind of pushed me to do that.
I told you that, like I would tell you to watch it and just be like, that it's good, and
then you'd be like, anyway, but
yeah, no. There's that, and then I got to spend, was it the weekend prior, like a couple weekends ago, I was up in Orlando with some friends, and we got to do some like exploring and went to some like arcades and was it Disney Springs and stuff. So yeah, that was fun.
Excellent. What about you, Rich? What's new for you?
Well, since we last spoke, I believe I was very hype. I was on the hype train because I was hours away from going to Citi Field for opening day. I'm not going to lie to you.
Did you ever make it?
I made it, my friend. I made it to opening day. And, I'm just going to say, I don't want to, it's a little crazy, but I looked to the heavens before I left my house and I said, we're playing Paul Skeens. He's the best pitcher in baseball. Maybe we can win somehow. And the Mets knocked Paul Skeens, one of the best pitchers in baseball, out in the first inning. And we went on to romp and win. I got to see Cowbell Man, one of my favorite Met fans, first day. Like, I already got a picture with him. I usually wait till July to say hello to him. But he walked by. I said, hey. He's like, hey, how you doing? And we took a picture together. It was fantastic. But then, it's the Mets. So they do well, and then they pain you. So that's there. What else? Since we last spoken, we actually did go to see Super Mario Brothers as a family. I just figured it would be we had the week off from school, so I just wanted to pick something easy. And honestly, I think Charlie would have liked Project Hail Mary, which we'll talk about later, but it's just a little too long, I thought, for the fam at that juncture. Because I don't usually like to invest that much time unless I know it's going to be something that we enjoy. And what else? Playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance again on the Switch. Trying to, unlock. I got Thanos. Bro, you unlock him at level 86. It's not fair. It's so much fun. I never thought I would have fun playing with Thanos, but he's just such an OP character when you unlock him that it's kind of fun. So been having a little bit of fun with that. And of course I'm still playing MLB The Show. I got very lucky. Within my first week, I unpacked an Aaron Judge card, which is a highly valuable card to get. So it definitely makes my year of collecting easier because I already got one of the top cards available in the game. Well on my way to forming my perfect Met team and a perfect collection of cards. Very excited. But not as excited as I am to throw it up, throw it deep, throw it down the sideline, and see if this one's going to stick. Will Project Hail Mary score a touchdown?
Well, I'm glad you pulled the Aaron Judge card, but it's no Charizard. Sorry.
That's That's a juicy take. That's a juicy take. Just like Voodoo Rangers, Juicy Haze IPA, the official unofficial sponsor of this podcast. And Anthony, what do you think people should do before they even start listening to us? What should they stop and do right now?
They should stop and realize that we are not sponsored by Voodoo Ranger.
Lies.
But also to, keep in mind that
one of these days Voodoo Ranger's actually going to comment a cease and desist.
And we're going to be like, no, it's Rich's fault.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, they should stop. Don't even listen to this discussion. Just stop right now and give us a 5-star juicy review, and then listen to it, and then just tell somebody else to give us a 5-star juicy review.
That's pretty juicy, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to go out on a limb here. We can't ask them 14 minutes in when we've just talked about our interests to review the podcast, guys. This is like the people that I hate on Amazon reviews. I'm a big reader of the Amazon reviews. And they'll review the product before it even comes in or before they use it. Or even if they gifted it to someone else. They'll be like, I gave this to my daughter and it's great. And it's like, your daughter lied. If it's a gift, she probably wasn't honest. That doesn't help me.
No.
But my favorite is when they review it because they gave it a bad review because it came too late.
Yeah,
maybe they're reviewing us this time because they simply forgot to last time. And we're just reminding them because you can actually usually only rate and review the podcast once on most platforms.
Oh, really?
Based on the show, not on the episode. So we could crap the bed here, but we're still a 5-star podcast.
That's the ticket. That's the ticket right there. I want to pause really quick and ask you guys about how Super Mario Galaxy was, or Super Mario Galaxy was, depending on your region of living. I don't know how to end that sentence. Depending on what state you're in, it's either Mario or Mario. But what outside of that conversation, what did you guys think?
I love.
Well, that's the pirate first. Hold on. Okay.
He went to the theater.
He is a pirate, actually, so I'll let him answer.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. But for me, it's the smallest, tiny things, right? The bomb mouse being in the club. It's just the little tiny characters that get love in the background. Whether it's just I love the movie because every time I'm looking at the screen, it's they member berries you a lot, but man, it feels like I'm rewarded for having played every single Super Mario Brothers game that's ever been released. It was a delight. Charlie had a good time because he doesn't know the world as much, but he just has fun. And then my Lauren loves Jack Black and the voice actors in it, and she gets into it a little bit and she remembers some of the stuff from when she plays Mario Kart. So it's just top to bottom. I saw some people panning it online. I don't understand like what you're looking for. Like it's a cartoon movie about a video game. Just like have a fun time, man. And like if you just go and just like, hey, I just want to see this video game come to life. You know, the only thing I gotta say I don't like is that I think Chris Pratt is a coward. And I don't know why we don't get it's a me, a Mario. Like just one, or he seems to have toned down the Italian stereotype.
Did you just say it's a me, Mario?
It's a me, a Mario. Oh no, do I say it the right? Do I say it the way you guys say it when I say his voice?
You do, yeah.
But then I call it something different. That's weird. All right, I'm so flummoxed. I'm going to throw it over to Anthony.
Well, welcome to our side, Rich. Welcome.
I wanted to comment on this like Mario and Mario debate because the other day Rich and I were talking and I couldn't remember how I said it. And I realized the issue the other day and that I told Dakota and he told me to say it here. But basically, I think when I was a child, I would say Mario in relation to the character and in relation to the ices.
Yeah.
Like those cups of ices, I would call Marios.
Yeah.
However, in my like late teens, early 20s, I met a human being, a real live human that went by Mario. And so I called him Mario. And that's why I couldn't remember how I said it anymore. This all came to me the other day. It was like quite the epiphany. Real soul-searching stuff I do.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I'm a very introspective and deep thinker.
That must have really thrown you for a loop there, man.
Yeah, it was like my whole world came crashing down on me.
I'm surprised you didn't crash your car.
Wait, was I driving? Were you on the phone when I said that?
Yeah.
I mean, probably almost did. Sorry, Anthony, you can share your perspective now.
Did you like the movie, Ant?
Yeah, I had a good time. And yeah, I know that people have been panning it online, I guess for like the story. But the thing is that like, I never took the Mario story like serious. I mean, you're an Italian plumber that's like jumping on like mushrooms, going through pipes.
That's many of our realities. Like
it's like, yeah, for real. It's like not even real. And I don't know, that's why like my relationship with like online reviewers and stuff is just, I take it with a grain of salt. I'm like, let me go check it out myself, or let me go to somebody that I know won't, that might not have like some sort of monetary bias in it. I mean, I checked, but I ended up watching it, and yeah, no, I had a fun time. They definitely, had like a expanded Nintendo universe thing going on, so that was really cool. There's some cool fan service in there, I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had fun. It was a fun watch.
I haven't seen it yet. I do want to see it, but I'm not like itching to see it, I guess. But what I will throw into that conversation of whether it needs to be a great movie in terms of like storytelling and everything, I don't think it needs to be, but if it can be, I think it should at least attempt it. And I kind of think about like the Toy Story movies, like they're movies about toys coming to life. Those are some of like the best movies of all time. Just like go to the Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 99%, 99%, 99%.
Right. But they came out like that. Whereas like Mario came out, actually originally started off as Jumpman in the Donkey Kong game.
In a Donkey Kong game. But no, what I'm saying is, but like, can you make a good movie out of a Mario movie? Can that be a good movie? And I don't know. I thought the first movie was pretty good. So, I don't know, food for thought. Maybe a good Mario movie, a really good Mario movie, would be a Hail Mary. None of us are using this term correctly.
Am I unclear of how to say this? Like, I feel like...
I don't know. You used it in a sentence.
I don't know. Now I'm struggling. This is like the Mario thing. Now I no longer understand how to say this.
I mean, we're not...
we're not using it wrong,
but like
we're not using it well.
Right. Yeah. I was like, I mean, technically, is it a long shot? Yeah, but is it? Like I don't know. It's a toss up. Are we using Hail Mary? It's a Hail Mary.
Well, you know what was?
I really hate this.
You know what was a Hail Mary? the mission that they sent this teacher Grace on. That was a Hail Mary for the human race. And not only the human race, but other civilizations, including the Iridians. That was their race, right? Iridians was Rocky's race?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about the premise of this movie a little bit, get into what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we can go back to the Mario discussion. Just kidding. Guys, I actually really like this movie. I was kind of speechless when I left the theater in a good way. Like, I didn't have a whole lot to add to the conversation once I saw it, but I was just pleasantly satiated, I guess, after having seen just a good movie in theaters. It was really fun to just watch the mystery unfold, watch the story unfold with this. It's literally like a one-man act, the majority of the film. And I think Ryan Gosling killed it. It was just so fun to watch him making the connections, learning Rocky's language, and eventually like saving the day and coming into like going from zero to hero, essentially.
I also enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really fun. When like we first kind of decided on it, I was like, oh man, I have to go to the movie theater, which, I mean, Dakota knows, like, I always, like, we used to go to the movies all the time, but being pregnant, I get, like, uncomfortable easily. I have to use the bathroom a lot, so I was like, am I going to be a problem? But I actually, like, had such a nice time. I also, when I found out when it was, like, 2 hours and 30 minutes, I was like, that's long. Made it the whole way through, not to brag, no bathroom breaks. Can't say the same for Dakota. Can't say the same for him.
I have
a child pushing on my bladder, and I was so engrossed that I forgot all my worries.
You forgot your child?
No, he was kicking me most of, like, a decent amount of the movie because I was drinking soda and sugar gets him hyped. But I really did like the movie. I found, like, for a movie that's mainly just with one actor, I found it really entertaining and engrossing. Ryan Gosling obviously is a sight to behold, but also just his acting skills are, like, really good. He was very likable in a not trying to be like a super manly man or like a super heroic character. He was actually kind of a coward, which somehow made him more interesting.
What did you guys think?
Well, I was the first one to actually see this movie, and I had been kind of keeping an eye on it for a while. It looked interesting, and when I started, like, literally, like, everybody was, like, raving about it, I was like, let me go and check this out. And, kind of like you guys, I was really happy, like, leaving the movie theater because, like, it was, like, visually, like, very, like, it was awesome, like, visually, just the different, sometimes, like, there were, like, scenes where there were, like, really cool colors. And, yeah, like you said, the story, Ryan Gosling, like, I'm really surprised with, I don't know, like, I guess in a way you're kind of used to, like, some of his older roles where he would play, like, a certain type of character and mentally you kind of typecast him. But I feel like recently he's been picking roles that are really, like, good, and he'll do roles that you don't expect him to, like, do well in, and he's, like, blowing it out of the water. He's playing a scientist in this movie, and he makes it believable that he is a scientist, And
he also makes it enjoyable. Yeah.
Right.
Like, he's still got humor. He's still got his snarkiness.
Right. Exactly.
The situational irony of the entire, like, thing about, like, he's the one guy in the universe that they sent, and he's just a school teacher is pretty funny.
Yeah.
We have some school teachers on the podcast here, so let's throw it over to Rich. He hasn't said a single word about this movie. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I think I got to talk it out with you guys. So I know it's now that I learned after I watched that it's based on a book, right? So my perfect movie time, unless it's, look, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars can go as long as they want because I just want that entire universe all the time, right? So I just want more and more and more and more and more. But when it comes to, like, a standalone like this, usually 2.5 for me is just a little bit in that range where I'm getting a little bit antsy. I'll be honest with you guys. I've never really been into, like, space movies. Let me explain. Like, any of those movies where, like, it's like really following astronauts or like, and like I feel like I've seen that like living alone thing. What is it? The Martian with Matt Damon, I think I saw a couple years ago. And
that's by the same author.
Oh, it is. Oh, look at that.
Andy Weir.
So it's like I've kind of seen the solid.
It's very similar.
Like that solitude, of being in space and things like that. Like I thought it was gonna be very tropey in that way, and I think that it kind of won me over by the end. But it was a rocky start, but I think by the end, I came away liking it. Like I said, like I didn't feel. I guess the best way to say it is like I enjoyed it, but I don't think I would go back to the theater to watch it a second time and pay full price tickets, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Okay.
Wait, I have a question for Rich. Rich, did you think that this film was good or bad PR for teachers?
Well, it's weird. It's, obviously ostensibly it's a teacher, so it's like, oh, look, teachers can be really bright and do these things, right? But there's also kind of an undertone to it, like that he got scared of his future and like retreated to teaching, like as a hidey hole. And then it kind of promotes this idea that like, teachers are failed at other professions. So they kind of...
Those who can't do teach.
Yeah. And I don't I like his management style. I like him as a teacher. Like that appealed to me. I thought he was great in that role. But I do think that in some ways, if you really look at it closely, it does, I think, a little bit of a disservice to teachers. Just this kind of idea that, like, I'm going to hit 20 years next year. Like, this is my profession. Like, I enjoy it. I would hazard to say, not so bad. Like, I don't know. And I said it to somebody else. Somebody asked me the other day over break, they said, "Oh, are you still teaching?" And I giggled and I said, "I got no others. Like, this is my skill set. What do you mean? Like, what else would I be doing? Like, what do you mean? I just gave it up after 15 years, So it is a little bit annoying to kind of hear this idea that, or this notion that, it's teachers are,
teaching is a fallback position.
That's one of the coolest things is one of our own students will be, like, hey, I want to be a teacher. Like there's a student in our district, or sorry, I shouldn't say student, the young woman now in our district who teaches at one of them, not the high school, but she teaches at one of like the middle school, or I think it's actually one of the primary schools. And she was a student in my class. And now she's like back in like she knew she wanted to be a teacher and she came back to our district and she's doing great work down there, and I don't know. But I think that's probably a teacher lens. I think that most people would walk away and be like, "Oh no, he's a teacher." And it's like, like I think they would very surface levelly think that it's promoting, but I think it's actually slightly denigrating.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like there was one scene where he's like sitting looking all sad and he's like, "I'm a failure. I'm a teacher at a middle school." And it's like, that's like my job. What?
Unless it's
the only
school.
Saving grace in PR for teachers for me is that at the end he decides to become a teacher on Rocky's planet. And it shows like he genuinely does just love doing this, and that it's not like he doesn't feel like a failure anymore. And he decides like he doesn't even really know if he wants to go back to Earth because he's enjoying what he's doing there so much. That was the only like saving grace for me at the end. But there were periods of time in this movie where I was like, why are they putting my career path down? Like, what? In movies, it's always like professors are like the real teachers and they're the ones that are really cool that like everyone looks up to and goes to like solve their problems, and they're like crimes or not crimes solve their mysteries.
Professor, solve my crimes. And professors are the the Indiana Jones of the world.
That's what like it's like if you're a professor, that's great, but if like they didn't make Indiana Jones a high school teacher, that would have been kind of cool too,
Let's not lie though. There, in terms of like the hierarchy, I'm speaking as a high school teacher. I'm not gonna lie. I started in middle school. I did my time there. My first 4 years, I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Listen, it is, ladies and gentlemen, a whole different animal. All right.
Yeah. No.
You have to
really
have
tough.
a lot of love in your heart. I don't have that much love in my heart anymore. If tomorrow my boss said, hey, next year you're going to be teaching down at the middle school, I said, hey, next year you guys are going to be looking for a new teacher, because I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, it is.
So it does feel
like you can't sit down. Like you need to be walking. Like they need to feel your presence at all times.
Bring it back in.
Sorry, we're talking about teaching.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, you can't talk about watching wires that much, electrician.
I could talk about wires all day. You want me to talk about wires?
Yeah, actually, he connected the wires. I want you to talk about wires connected to your field.
Okay, yeah. He definitely, when he was being given that bridge to cross ships to start communicating with Rocky, he unplugged all the lights in his ship. He replugged them in elsewhere. It was fun. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that, but actually, I do want to talk a little bit about when he actually goes and first confronts Rocky's ship. I thought that was such a charming sequence of him just like, nope, I'm out of here. And he just goes home and Rocky just follows him. And then even like the small bursts of like jet fuel that he expends and Rocky follows him with a doot doot. I loved that. And the moment that Rocky first sends him a message, like he has a robot send a message over to his ship. As it's about to hit his hull, he goes, "Shields up!" and the ship goes, "We don't have shields." And he's just like, "Why not?" I laughed so hard as soon as he said "shields up" because I knew that didn't exist in this world. But like, it was so funny. It was so funny.
I liked when Rocky threw like a second one. And, like, he, like, realizes it. He's like, oh, they must think I'm an idiot.
Would you like to do a spacewalk? Yeah, I really did like the humor wasn't, like, overstated. Like, it wasn't a comedy by any means, but the juxtaposition of Rocky and Grace was really, really enjoyable.
I know it's based on a book, so maybe I'm out of line here. But you guys know how I feel about flashback stuff. I think I've made myself very clear on this podcast. I'm not a fan of narratively leaning on flashback. Do you think that we need the flash? Do you think it had to be presented in the way it was? Like, do we need this idea that he was drugged essentially and forced on the mission?
Yes.
Right?
I think we do need that.
Like, why is he up there?
I think...
Like, I feel like the flashbacks are necessary.
Can't we do it? But, like, I don't think that... It didn't make me go, like, oh, gosh, is that why he's here? Like, they could have done it from start to finish. And I think I would have been... I didn't need... Like, the reveals didn't make it more or less interesting for me. I feel like if they would have just done it chronologically, I would have been fine. Like, they could have started the movie, this is happening, and then... they drug him and they put him on there and then he wakes up, like, I don't necessarily think
I see where you're coming from. I think that is coming from a personal bias against flashback narratives, but the way that it presents information, it presents what you need to know from the past exactly when you need to know it in the present. So if they had done it linearly, it wouldn't have felt as connected, it wouldn't have felt as timely, and ultimately it wouldn't have been as well told, basically, because we start at a point where we know nothing and the character knows nothing, and that's a rare point in narrative fiction, because you as the audience have prepositional awareness that the character doesn't, because you're seeing from the outside looking in. You're often able to know things that the characters don't. So by the unfolding of events, you grow to learn more as he, presumably, they'd actually never say whether or not he's learning memories from the past, but presumably he's remembering things as they come to him so that he can complete the mission that he needs to complete. But so I'm of the mindset that the flashbacks didn't ruin it for me. And I also am not a fan of flashbacks, and I didn't feel that they were a crutch for this one because of the way that they presented information. It felt natural.
You know what I think it is a little bit for me, and maybe it's just the difference between narrative on paper and narrative in movies, right? I find that the flashback technique is very much like a novel construct
Okay.
And I think that then part of that's because you don't have the visuals that can just like montage stuff away or whatever. And I think that sometimes, and I guess it's sticking to the book, right? But it does follow a narrative structure that to me is like more akin to a novel a little bit. And that, I think that happens in One Piece and even Naruto, right? Because they started as manga, right? So there is kind of like this technique that I think doesn't have to be used as much in movies, but again, it's probably my own personal bias. So I'll let us move on.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a narrative. It's a storytelling technique, and I do think it does generally work better in novel form, but I don't think that this movie was at all hampered by the flashback sequences, and I think that it was the right amount of... Because they weren't long flashbacks. It was maybe like a minute or two each, but they were just long enough to give us another piece of the puzzle as to basically like, why did he end up in space? And I think that knowledge is what keeps most people interested, like that, dangling that idea of like, well, why is this guy the one that's doing it? And that's not really revealed to us until maybe 3/4 of the way into the movie fully. But
right, because it was originally supposed to be somebody else that went up. And you're like, wait a second, if this guy was supposed to go up, then how is Grace up here then?
And I do like the idea that they reveal that he's basically a coward right before he makes a decision to not be. Like he makes a decision to, or actually I believe they reveal that he was a coward and that he got drugged to be on the ship right before he kind of fails at something in the present, in space. And then that kind of like double whammy of, wow, this guy isn't that great at, he's probably not going to be able to do this, whatever. We know as the audience that he's going to be able to, because that's how the movie has to end. But in the moment, you feel, wow, this guy's powerless. But then he overcomes that fear, that cowardice, and introduces like his bravery arc. He becoins the hero.
It's kind of like, not to get biblical. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think I was done. I was rambling. Go ahead.
Yeah, I blur this guy. No, I was gonna say, not to get like biblical, but this is basically like the story of Jonah, kind of. I didn't think, like, it was just you saying that made me think of that, how he's like told to go to Nineveh, and then he's like, no, and he tries to run away, and then he gets swallowed by a whale, except this guy got roofied, and that's his whale.
Oh, wow. That's a really good comparison. I had not thought of that at all, but yeah, it is very similar to the Jonah story.
Like just the characterization of like somebody who was a chosen one in a way. I mean, he was like a default chosen one because everybody else went kaboom, but
rest in peace, my granny.
Rest in peace, those astronauts.
All right. What did we think of Rocky, guys?
Oh, I have so much to say about Rocky, but I'll let you guys go first.
We need to talk a little bit about Rocky. Anthony, I feel like you need to, on your Zoom call, you are the rock and roller. So I want you to talk a little bit about Rocky. And I think Rocky was pretty much the reason we decided to do this podcast, right? You brought up this lovable character named Rocky, and we were like, all right, let's do it next week. We'll cover Project Hail Mary next week.
Yeah, Rocky's awesome. It's crazy how much you can connect to a character that literally has like no face. It's just it's a rock with limbs. But the fact that when you realize that, like, Rocky is a scientist that is there for the same reason that Grace is, and Rocky's the one that like realizes this first, like he's the one that's communicating like why he's there, because obviously he's like, okay, there's another ship that I don't know what this is. It has to be for the same reason, and Rocky, oh my gosh. And when you get to the point to where like Grace sets up the translation between him and Rocky, I don't know. I love how they just established this awesome professional like relationship, but it becomes a friendship. And it's like they get to know each other about their worlds. Yeah. Rocky gets to know about Earth, and then eventually Grace gets to, experience a bit of how, Rocky's world is first through the ship, and then obviously going to Rocky's like planet. But yeah, man, Rocky just top 10 adorable faceless creatures, you know?
I want to comment on the character design of Rocky as well. As someone who's read a lot of the like art of Star Wars books, shout out to my homie Phil Shostak, who writes a lot of them. But I've read a lot about, especially with Grogu, like how they designed Grogu and how difficult it is to like nail down a character design and how many different, you know, ideas they go through before they kind of settle on one face and like overall look. Star Wars, especially with Grogu, was very like when they're designing characters, they're very focused on like the silhouette. I actually have this here. You know, like Grogu has like the big ears and like the super round face, and it makes his silhouette extremely recognizable. And even like the positioning of the ears is distinguished from Yoda. And that goes for all of the like a lot of the Star Wars creatures have very recognizable silhouettes. With Grogu specifically, they wanted to make sure that he looked super cute so that like young people and old, everybody would like him. And so they designed him to look kind of like a baby. And that's kind of like, I read an article once called The Science of Cute, where if you want to make a character cute, you give them like big eyes and a tiny mouth. And so that way they look more like a baby and a very round face. And Grogu perfectly fits that description, which is why everybody just like loves him. And if you look at the books, I mean, they had some really like too baby-like choices that were kind of creepy and weird. But what I like about Rocky is that he's extremely adorable. A, as you brought up, Anthony, without a face. And B, his like silhouette isn't super recognizable. He's kind of like an arachnid, but he's also just like a rock. Like he doesn't even have like fingers really. And I don't know. It's just, you kind of like think about the droids like BB-8 or R2 and how they have that very distinguished silhouette. And I think they made Rocky's personality shine so much and his like mannerisms so interesting and cute that you just have to love him. But I think they did it in such a different way than, you know, character designs that I've seen in the past. I think he's really memorable too.
Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to actually draw Rocky.
Yeah, like if you tried to draw Rocky from memory,
he'd almost look kind of like a spider, which isn't necessarily cute, but it's the mannerisms that they give him, the way that he moves, and just pure likability. I think the voice that they chose for him in the end, I thought they were going to go with Meryl Streep. I was just like, as soon as he said she can do anything, I was just like,
oh my god.
I thought they were doing Meryl Streep, but no, I'm glad with the voice that they chose for Rocky, and yeah.
And even NASA likes Rocky. On a recent Instagram post, they put amaze.
Rocky is just even like the way like when you see him run, you know, it's like,
oh, and he's like bumping into everything too.
Yeah, it's and then I think that like what really sealed it for this character is he essentially almost sacrificed himself to save Grace. He has to stay contained within, I think, ammonia.
It smelled like ammonia.
It was like
ammonia, but it was like a xenon. It was like, yeah, it was a xenon. Yeah, I think it was.
Oh yeah, I think it was because it was something that xenophage was going to like eat, and like that's his whole ship was like made of it. And yeah, I
think it was astrophage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, astrophage.
Wasn't astrophage like?
Astrophage was the alien compound that they were trying to figure out how to stop.
Yeah, that was eating the sun, pretty much.
But Rocky is like a xenon-based life form. But yeah, Rich, what did you think of Rocky?
I thought he was really cute. At first, I sussed out I'm supposed to like him, like whatever. And I think I was a little hesitant at first, but I think that he won me over as it went on. I love idiomatic expressions being misunderstood, whether it's Rush Hour or whatever. Any kind of movie where somebody uses a phrase and the other person doesn't quite speak the language, And I just, there were a couple of incidences of that where he's like, what are you talking about, Grace? Like that he just was, and then Grace, we're so used to trying to use these phrases, and we're so used to everybody understanding them, that when somebody now says it, when you have to explain it, you're like, oh, well, how do I explain that? I mean, it's kind of
right.
I mean,
how do you explain why fist bump is different than fist my bump?
I like it when Grace was like testing his hearing because like he was like recording. And he's like, he can hear me.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, and then he like starts to like whisper, like, and he's like, can you hear me? I can.
Yeah, that I think that's like like he started to get me. And look, I won't even. Like, I have to admit this. I have to admit it. I don't think I liked Grogu at very first. I was like, oh, you're just trying to make me like him. He's so cute. How am I not gonna like him? And then,
but like, why even like have that mentality?
Baby.
Why go into it with that mentality? I'm struggling there. Like, oh man, they're trying to make me like this character.
Yeah, wait, are you gonna do that with my son? Like, oh man, Dakota Jenner trying to make me like this kid. I just don't trust him. I don't know what he's going to become.
I don't trust him.
I already like him.
Will he become a Yankees fan?
That's already been decided. Let's not get into that on the show. But no, you know what it is? I mean, we're both English teachers, right? We're literature. Like, I think that I do analyze in some circumstances. I do start to kind of suss out, like, what the author, what the director is trying to do. And sometimes if I'm being handed something, I'm more of a hesitant little pup. I won't just grab it from your hand. I'm like, what is that? Am I supposed, and it's like, why am I supposed to like this? Why is it being presented this way? Does it work?
That's how I feel about Super Mario movies.
What,
sir? I don't.
That's how I feel about the Mario movie, the first one at least. Like I didn't want to just blindly like it. They had to win me over. One thing that I really thought was, I liked the science of the movie. I thought that, I don't know anything about molecular biology or anything like that, but I like the physics of how they made certain things work. Like how Grace had his ship spin a certain speed so that he could create artificial gravity. And then Rocky did the same on his ship so that they didn't have to just float in space. I thought that was brilliant. I loved little things like that. To me, made the believability just so much stronger, because it would make so much more sense than just there being artificial gravity on a 21st century Earth ship. I think that that's so cool. I did think it was interesting that after the second time that Grace visited Rocky, the second time the bridge was built, Rocky knew that he needed H2O, or not H2O, he needed oxygen to be able to survive in that bubble. And I thought that was really interesting because that shows that he has some knowledge of other races and other planetary systems to be able to replicate certain atmospheres, even though Grace wasn't like able to truly tell him like what the periodic table, like what he needed from the periodic table to survive. He was able to do that research somehow on his own, or he already knew that information. And I thought that was kind of an interesting concept, but it was kind of juxtaposed with the fact that like their species didn't know what radiation was. So like there's certain things that like you should have some understanding of if you're like an interstellar species. And I'm glad that they were able, like Rocky was able to like be that, like he was able to create the oxygen for his buddy Grace, but he didn't know what radiation was, which just kind of, I feel like you would discover that along the way at some point.
Well, we don't know like what their planet is like. Like we discovered it here because of stuff going on here.
That's true.
But like we don't know what they've been up to.
Yeah, they
in their spider world.
Their spider rock world.
What I didn't like was like when he went to Rocky's planet and we didn't get to see any of it, just like this version of Earth that they simulated. Like
I was a little confused at first. And I think you're supposed to be a little confused because you just assume that, oh, he made it back to Earth, or is this like is he back on his holodeck, essentially, where he's like experiencing these visions with Rocky? But no, he's on a beach, and he's on Arid. I think the name is the planet. But yeah, thought that was cool. I did think it was falling back to, he's able to create artificial oxygen for Grace. When Grace realizes that the astrophage predator is like eating through the xenon-based compartment, he realizes that he needs to go back and save his buddy Rocky. He needs to go back to Rocky's ship, and I love that scene so much. But if Rocky is capable of creating oxygen to that scale so quickly, could he not also have contained them with some other element?
I think the issue was realization. Like, it might have been too late before he realized that it was being eaten through. And I think that I think the spread would have been a little bit more rapid because of the fact that everything was like xenon for his ship.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
But wasn't it also just like the size of his ship and like how kind of like Anthony said when he realized it, and also like where exactly would he need to kind of like put the plug? Kind of like when the bees were getting into our house. We had a bee problem last year, and like bees were just showing up and we didn't know where they were coming from.
Yeah, this conversation is going in weird directions.
The bees.
Well, now I need to know, like, did you vacuum the bees? Did you find the bees?
No, we never found them, but they all died in the winter.
No, we found the bees. They died in the walls.
Oh.
Yeah.
But we don't know how they're getting in. We
never figured out how they were getting into the house, but we found out how they were getting into the walls. It was through like a light that wasn't sealed correctly on the outside. But I mean, and that took us a really long time. So with Rocky's time frame,
he doesn't really have fingers.
The fact that these are like, what are they called? The astrophage. The astrophage. They're a lot smaller than bees.
Microscopic, even.
Yeah, and his ship's a lot bigger than our house.
That would have been a lot of holes to plug for just one being.
Yeah, for just one Rocky.
I did like the scene when Grace went over to Rocky's ship. That was really cool.
Oh, like
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
My thing was sometimes they like traveled away from the laptop, and I didn't know how they were communicating. Was the laptop in that suit? Because they were like talking?
I think he was able to port it into that suit or whatever. But and actually there was scenes where he wasn't translating, like the computer wasn't translating Rocky, but he understood Rocky.
Was that just like they're kind of like how I can understand my cat?
Probably that could have been it. Let's talk
Anthony's going to say something.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, jumping on like what Dakota said about Rocky, like the way that he spoke. I do like that the way that he would communicate was like more. It was almost like music based in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, like even his girlfriend.
Yeah, like the names, like his wife's name.
That and then like when
he even did a little like dance every time he said.
There was that, and he would like rub up on his like arm, and it was kind of like an instrument.
Like, have those like frogs, like the wooden frogs that have like the backs with and you just like stroke a stick over the back, and it makes like a, it was kind of cool.
Wait, Rich, when we start like leaving work, can we start doing that?
No, don't do that. It's weird.
Okay, fine.
Everyone's going to think you have like a disease or something.
They're going to think Rich and I are starting a colony of lepers.
I mean, like, I don't think anyone would even think anything twice of it if they saw me doing it. It's just like, oh, is Rich doing something weird?
Wait, we should start doing it to Emily and not explaining
100%. No, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I think if we should get Greg on board, because then she'll be triple confused if Grumpy Greg is rubbing his arm.
Yes.
There was a few times where I was like deeply emotional, and I think that's something that I really appreciated with this movie, was able to kind of run you through the gamut of all the emotions. You had a lot of humor, you had a lot of like heartbreak, you had the bittersweet goodbye, you had like the traumatic moments where you mentioned it earlier, Anthony, where like Rocky almost like dies, and it's such a like. They almost don't show you how bad it is. Like, it's almost like in like fragmented clips. You see just like smoke rising off of Rocky as he's clearly dying. It's super traumatic, and they barely show you. And I think that is like the key there. It just makes you like, you're just like looking for him. You're just looking to see if he's okay, and they don't show you. And it keeps you on the edge of your seat. So a lot of the movie, I'm on the edge of my seat. And then, the turning point, like the turning point for the movie isn't when they discover how these astrophage can be, controlled, it's actually like when Grace, decides that he basically, like, he doesn't need to return to Earth. He needs to return to Rocky because he can send these things to Earth by themselves and they can figure it out. He knows that they can figure it out. He knows that they're waiting for that. But if he didn't turn around, there's a high possibility that Rocky's entire race would have been wiped off the face of the galaxy. And that's super traumatic. And he made the right decision that in that moment. And I loved that moment. And that's when, for me, I knew I loved the movie. When you got that he finally made something of himself. And it wasn't like a stupid loser teacher position or helping the middle school kids. It was saving a civilization from extinction. He saved 2 civilizations,
It's true.
I appreciate that. I thought that was really, really cool. Way better than being a teacher.
I do have to but one thing I have to protest, okay? Just one thing I have to protest. So, like, he's going to be happy for the rest of his days.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, isn't he going to be like lonely?
And like they're not even like
already lonely.
I mean, at least if they were Ewoks, like they're at least still like warm-blooded. Like I don't know, man. This is some rocks.
Where's that going?
There's nothing going on there.
Where's that going?
There's nothing going for him here on this island. Yes, it is heartless. I mean, it is selfless, and I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. When he's like, I'm gonna go back to him, I was like, wait a minute, my man's just gonna live with the rock people? I couldn't. And then when the end like fleshed out, at first I was like, oh, he went back to Earth. I guess he got. And I'm like, oh no, y'all tricked me. He's just gonna live with the.
Well, I assumed that the rock people would be able to get him home.
And like
they have the tech for it.
They do have the tech. They said that, his ship's ready whenever he wants.
Just gonna.
It was the part where he's like, I don't want to go home. I want to keep teaching baby rocks. That was the part where I was like, okay, this is good PR for teachers because it shows that he doesn't view teaching as a loser profession and he actually wants to continue doing it. But also, aren't you incredibly alone?
Well, if you pay attention to him throughout the movie, his connections are gone. Like he really has no solid connections with anybody on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple of moments with that one lady, but
then she drugged him.
Right. I would say that like his like real like true connection was with Rocky. And so when he came to that realization that really like his only real friend in probably a long time is on his way to his doom, it made sense that he would want to go help him. And then, like in the end, he really can go home. They left it open that he could go home at any time.
And it's a selfless attitude that it's the same selfless attitude that Rocky showed him. Rocky risked his own well-being and potentially the well-being of his entire planet to save his friends. The least he could do is turn around and save him. So anyway,
But then my problem is that the staying on the planet. It just becomes this trope of teacher movies where the teacher just gives and gives and gives, and they're just so selfless, and there's no personhood other than in service to others at all times. And
he did it for the rock kids.
I don't see it that way at all. I mean, I understand that that is a trope, but I feel like
not for this movie.
I feel like he found his way.
His way is living
purpose.
His purpose.
He found purpose.
Is teaching rocks in a. Okay. I'm just gonna back down. I'll respectfully.
It's in this universe. It's
our universe. Like I'm led to believe that this is essentially our universe. And this why doesn't he go back to his students that he should have a connection with? I don't know. I teach kids for 10 months and I only know them for 10 months. And by the end of those 10 months, I'm sad to see them go. And some of them actually are sad to say goodbye. I don't know. Like I said, it makes the teacher in some ways a caricature instead of a fuller person. I think that a real victory for him is coming back and getting his life in order and making connections, learning that through his connection with Rocky, he can make connections with any being. Why not try with my race? My plan.
Here's the thing. Why didn't Frodo want to stay with the hobbits?
Because
he could never come back from the war. and this is kind of the essential. It's the same exact ending, really. He's gone off into the West.
But the elves are warm-blooded. I'm going to circle back to Rich's warm-blooded comment. I don't see why the spiders would need to be warm-blooded. I don't know what you think he's going to do with the spiders. I was very concerned by that comment.
We're going to close this podcast. Final thoughts on Project Hail Mary. We'll start with Jen.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cute and fun. I did question the teacher persona. I think Rich and I are both coming at this from the same angle. And I also spoke with another teacher at my job who saw the movie, and she also came to the same conclusions that we did, where like teachers do kind of become caricatures of like what society wants them to be. And it's like, don't take care of yourself or your family, do everything for the kids, service society at all costs. So I do see that for sure. But I still found the movie very enjoyable. I found Ryan Gosling's performance to be well done. I liked that he was intelligent but also stupid at times, like righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and just making that assumption that that's just how everybody does things, and realizing... I thought that was like a cute moment to show like not to make assumptions when it comes to alien races. And yeah, I just thought 2 hours and 30 minutes well spent. I enjoyed it and I had a good time and I would watch it again.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat pretty much. I obviously don't have the teacher viewpoint that you guys do, but I don't know. I felt that the overall story and the trajectory of the character finding himself in like the most unlikely scenes imaginable basically for him really took me on an adventure. And after having said compared it to Lord of the Rings, it does have that feel of, you know, he's taking something to Mordor and it means everything for everyone. And I think that he did it. Frodo did it.
Well, he was kind of forced into it too. Like he was definitely trying to be selfish and not going. Like he didn't want to go.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. No. I'm trying to say that like I would say like that that's where the teacher trope kind of breaks, where he's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
I think teachers say that every day.
I literally say that at 6:15 every morning. I wake up and I go, oh, I don't want to do this. All right. Like, I mean, it's 19 years. All right. 19 years, my friend. And I've literally woken up every day and just gone, oh, I don't want to do this. And then my wife goes,
yeah. And for me,
what's
like
new?
Oh, sorry.
Like that's every morning. I don't want to do this. What's new? And then I just go to work.
For me, it's also like when they don't give me maternity leave and I'm going to be forced to leave my infant child to go back and help other people's kids because our country kind of sucks. Yeah, like, I don't want to do that, but I'm going to be forced to. The principal's going to come drug me and just shove me back in the classroom.
Damn, this is getting dark. Anthony, what did you think of the movie? Final thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I loved, both characters that it was centered around. I loved the dynamic. I loved the friendship and the desire to want to help each other out, not only as friends, but like, wanting to save each other's civilizations, like they understood what the stakes were for both of them. So I really did enjoy that. I did want to throw a little tidbit in there. Andy Weir used to work for Blizzard until he was fired.
Oh, snap.
For poor performance.
Whoa. Okay. All right. That's, I'm glad he's open about it.
So writing was his fallback career.
Yeah.
For a bit there, he was a failure.
Kind of like teaching is for some others,
But yeah, I one thing that I don't like about this movie, I'm gonna bring it back to something I don't like. No dates. There's not a single date in this movie. I can't even pinpoint it to a decade.
Don't have that issue with Titanic.
Don't have that issue with Titanic. But anyway, overall, really liked it. Rich, what are your thoughts?
He hated it.
I think I have to, you started the movie, you started the show. It was interesting.
Hold on. Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you?
It's a thumbs down for him.
No.
But a rocky thumbs
it's
down?
It's not a thumbs down. I feel like maybe I saw a lot of positive, superlatively positive stuff, and I just thought that it was It's a fun movie. It's nice. I mean, there's also I've disliked Ryan Gosling for a very long time. So that I didn't reveal that till now. I didn't want to say that. But when Anthony started with talking about typecast stuff, listen, I never understood what James Marsden's character did wrong in Notebook. All right, he was a good man. All right, who was there for Rachel McAdams.
Oh my god!
All right, and Ryan Gosling and his letters had to rear their ugly head and pull her out of that relationship. All right. No, all jokes aside, spoilers. I mean, he was good in this movie. He's not my favorite actor in the world, but I thought he did well. I guess that for me as a teacher, some of the, I don't know. I guess there's a part of me that like wants to see him perhaps just return and have success where he belongs. And I feel like it would have been a little bit more transformative of an ending for him to do the saving. I mean, he should go back and help Rocky. That I'm without question with that, But I do think there should have been like a return to Earth when he's like, now it's like he's left Earth, and in leaving Earth, he's finally found who he is as a person, and now he can go back and be like. I think that it's way more powerful of a story to have a character go back and be successful in that place where they weren't successful, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that I like to see. So I mean, I did complain about the length, but man, you know what, if it was a couple more minutes and you see him, I don't need to see him get married or whatever, but just see him be successful on Earth, as a teacher, and having fun in a different environment, I think would have been a little bit for me a happier ending. Whereas this happy ending is like, look, I'm a teacher. If you drugged me and put me on a spaceship and it made me save the world, all right, like I gotta get back to my Mets and my family, and then like I have to get back to something. And I understand that he seemed to kind of have no connection, but I think that the greater success is overcoming that. So that's my only gripe. It's a fun movie, all right. Like I'm not sure if maybe I was in a different headspace than all you guys as I was consuming it. So that might be something as well. But if you're listening to the show, don't not watch the movie because you heard anything that I had to say. I'm sometimes a grumpy old man, and I think that this can actually be a really fun watch for anybody out there who's listening.
All right, so we have a tentative thumbs up from Rich and 3 thumbs down for us. Rocky thumbs downs. Guys, thank you so much for listening to us here for our 158th episode. No idea what we're doing next week. We have not discussed it in the slightest, but you'll be hearing from us one way or the other. That's a threat.
Bye.
Bye.
The Wolverine.
Adios.